Welcome to Creative Imperfections, the podcast where perfection is overrated and messy magic gets the spotlight. I'm so glad you're here. Today, I want you to take a deep breath before we start. Breathe in, breathe out. Because this episode is not about productivity. Instead, it's about permission. If you're listening to this at the end of the year and feeling that familiar tightness in your chest, that little voice that's whispering, I should have done more, or this year didn't go the way I planned, or I feel so behind. I want you to hear this clearly. You did not waste the year. Even if your goals didn't land, even if your momentum stalled, even if things got quiet when you thought they'd get louder, especially then. We live in a world that only celebrates visible wins, the booked jobs, the finished projects, the big callbacks, numbers that we can screenshot and share. But creatives don't actually grow in highlight reels. We grow in the unseen moments. The year that taught you patience, the season where rejection sharpened your resilience, the months where you were showing up even when there was no applause. That all counted. You didn't do nothing. You learned discernment. You learned what drains you and what you're no longer willing to tolerate. You learned where your edges are and where your strength actually lives. And those are the lessons that don't show up on a resume, but they absolutely show up in your future. Some of the most important creative years look unimpressive from the outside. They're usually quiet, messy, unresolved. But those are the years where something is actually forming. So if you're tempted to label this year as a failure because it didn't look the way you imagined, pause. Stop right there. Because unfinished doesn't mean unvaluable. Delayed doesn't mean denied. And quiet certainly does not mean wasted. Instead of asking, what did I accomplish? I want you to try asking, what did I learn about myself? What boundary did I finally draw? What truth did I stop ignoring? Those answers matter more than any checklist. Nothing you lived through this year was accidental, even the parts you wish you could edit out. Take that truth with you as you close this chapter. You didn't waste the year. You survived it, you learned from it, and you are still here. That is what matters more than you think. And always remember, there's magic in your imperfections. Go out there and find it. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of Creative Imperfections. If you have a friend who could use this advice right now, please feel free to share this with them and make sure you subscribe.